VIBErations Podcast, Part 10, Tales, Esslin Terrighena. Hi, I'm Gary Brightman, and this is my weekly podcast called VIBErations. Established in 2018, Vibe is a book and music shop situated in Moi Wo on Lantau Island in Hong Kong. So what's been happening over the last week? Our new Free Books to Hong Kong Helpers initiative has slowed down a bit. So if you know any helpers interested in free books from Vibe, please let them know that we're open from 12 noon until 6 p.m. every day. And if they want to come and see me in the shop, I'm generally there on Tuesdays, Fridays and Saturdays. If they don't have time to come and pick up the books, then I'm happy to drop them off anywhere in Moi Wo, or happy for employers to take them on the helpers' behalf. Book donations continue to come in and are generally in good saleable condition. Thank you. Don't forget to contact me in the first instance for any large donations of over 20 books. We had a large donation of good condition and new DVDs recently, including music and films and some documentaries. Our stock of adult and children's face masks from Shirley at Lantau Ren has been replenished. Today I'm going to pick up the latest batch of vinyl stock. Look out on Facebook and I'll publish the album covers to tempt you with. They'll be largely rock, pop and indie music. However, I'll also have a further 50 classical and jazz albums in stock by Saturday. We have two dogs. Wilson, a 13-year-old Jack Russell Chihuahua, who's quite punchy. He came from POWS, the ex-Lantau pet rescue team, run by Jackie Green with Ocker. Our second dog, Jack, is an 18-month-old village dog who prefers to be cuddled as frequently as possible. We adopted Jack at 8 weeks old from Tails Pet Rescue, formed by Esslin Terrighena in 2018. And this week's interview is with Esslin.
We're here at Vibe with Dr. Esslin Terrighena, who's a Chartered Psychologist practicing in Central. But not content with just one career, 2 years ago she also founded the animal rescue charity Tails and followed her passion for animals and animal welfare.
Wait a minute, I'm supposed to do that. That's my bit. This is my podcast. Why are you so empowered that you have to do my thing for me?
Because I've listened to you ramble through it about 10 times now. Just go with it, roll with it.
Okay, no, I will roll with it. You are quite right, actually. I did mess it up at least 10 times. Okay, so welcome to Vibe, Esslin.
Thank you for having me, Gary.
Pleasure. Okay, so moving right along. Tails. What does Tails stand for?
Team for Animals in Lantau South. If you want to know what we stand for in terms of mission.
No, not really bothered. No, it's okay. Yeah, go on then. Give us a bit of that ethos. Let's just get through that, shall we?
Our shiny mission. It's completely volunteer run, so most of us have full-time jobs. It's supporting either injured or stray or neglected, abused, surrendered, abandoned animals, and giving them, the nurture that they deserve, the voice that they need, and giving them their medical attention through our collaborating vet practices, and then hopefully, if they are suitable, rehoming them to families in which they can thrive and be happy.
Okay, and that's largely dogs and cats. Would you take an owl if you saw one in trouble?
No, we don't deal with birds.
Okay.
We mainly deal with dogs and cats just because that's where we have our experience, we have our expertise, we know what their needs are. If we, if someone joins the team who has knowledge on, say, rats or hamsters or chinchillas or turtles, those kind of things, then we would maybe extend to include those animals as well, but right now we don't want to overstretch ourselves.
Okay, all right. So that makes a lot of sense to me. And so are you bounded by Lantau?
We prioritise Lantau animals, so we wouldn't want to be in a position where we couldn't take on a Lantau animal because we've taken on a bunch of animals from other parts of Hong Kong. So we always make sure that we can reserve Lantau spaces, so we can prioritize Lantau animals, especially if they're injured. But yeah, we are open to taking animals from other parts of Hong Kong, and then our fosters and adopters are all over Hong Kong, so they're not Lantau based necessarily, and our volunteers are also from all over Hong Kong. That said, for the field team, so the more hands-on animal rescue that really does go out when someone spotted an injured animal, for example, that goes out when they can. There we prefer to have Lantau based volunteers, just for practicality and logistics reasons and speed.
Okay. Now, so if people see, let's just say Moi Wo area, if people see animals injured, dogs, cats, what should they be doing first and foremost to report them?
Well, there's a whole bunch of things. So we're not an emergency service because, like I say, we're volunteer based. We don't always have the resources to help with an animal, and we might not have the human power at that point in time to go and help. So there's different other rescues that can be called. If it's an injured wild animal, AFCD is really the go-to person. But also for dogs and cats, SPCA is the official emergency line. Now, that said, we will try and help if we can.
Yeah, so I suppose it should be stressed that your volunteers, they have day jobs, and so they have social lives, etc. as well.
No,
they don't.
You sign up for Tails, you don't get a social life. That ends right there.
That's fair
social
enough.
Life.
So if you'd like to work for Tails, please contact Esslin on the following number. And this is how things start, I think. So if you are looking for a dog or a cat to adopt, certainly let Esslin or Esslin's organisation aware of that and the sort of animal that you're after. We did that about 15 months ago with Esslin, and we were actually looking for something totally different to what we ended up with. However, we love our Jack. Jack was dropped on Steph's lap one day, just here at the shop actually, a 2-month-old puppy, at that time called Yellow, from a litter of puppies that were all given colours as names. And this is how things work. So basically, we liked the look of him. He was small, and we wanted small. However, what we didn't realise is that small as a puppy doesn't mean small as an adult. And so once, let's say, 3 or 4 months of peeing and pooping in the house had finished, the dog actually seemed quite large to us.
You were informed about this.
We were informed. Apparently, we were informed about this.
I just sniffed out weakness that day. That's what happened.
So yeah, there's some good advice for you. Please don't show weakness in front of Tails. They do know weakness.
Our adoption fee is $1,500, just because you get a full animal, a complete animal basically. So you get the first year of annual vaccinations covered with that. You get the desexing at 5 or 6 months, covered by that. The microchip and license, the rabies shot. You get the first tick and flea prevention, and then 1 to 2 dewormings included with that, and then you also get the heartworm test and 6 months of heartworm prevention included. So the $1,500, to be honest, if you did all the same procedures on your own, you'd probably be paying more, just because we get a discount at SPCA that allows us to make that price comparatively low and be cost covering to some extent. Obviously, a lot of animals do come in with other stuff and other issues, so it will cost us a lot more than $1,500 usually to fix up an animal. Depending on what injuries they come in with.
Basically, in terms of the fee payable, it doesn't matter whether it's dog, cat, kitten, old dog.
Yeah.
It's flat fee, $1,500, which very good value.
We used to have a lower fee for cats, but we've had to put it up because we realised that most of our cats come in with cat flu, and it just adds so much cost to our treatment that we used to have $1,000 for cats and $1,500 for dogs, and the $1,000 for cats just wasn't feasible. We were really struggling to get the cats treated. Right. And since pretty much every kitten, every cat comes in with cat flu now, or something else, you know.
Yeah.
It's always cat flu, but we've had to unfortunately put it up because we were just really making such a loss that we weren't able to cover.
Just out of interest, you've been running for 2 years now. How many animals have you saved during that period of time, do you think?
It's roughly around 240 animals over the last 2 years. Yeah.
240 animals. I mean, I don't think either of us are mathematicians, but I think that's somewhere around two a week. We'll work it out later. But that's a phenomenal amount of animals that wouldn't have been saved had Tails not been there. So they're definitely filling a good space on Lantau for us, and well respected. What motivated you in the first place to set up this pet rescue charity?
Well, I mean, I'd been seeing, or I've been privileged to see the great work that Oka and Jackie had been doing for so many years. And then Jackie relocated back to the UK, Jackie Green. Yeah. Because people knew a few of the people that had ties with Jackie, people would then kind of post on Facebook or get in touch personally and say, oh, there's an injured animal. And because Jackie was always the main person and she was, driving the rescue missions, I was like, oh, I don't know what to do with that, But then because I saw the need was there, I just, started to kind of educate myself more. And then Jackie was giving advice and Oka was giving advice on what to do. And then eventually, I guess we just realised that without having more of a more resources and something more official, that we weren't really able to help these animals, and so that's kind of from where it went.
Very, very brave move, I think, because once you step into that space, easy to get in but hard to get out again, because straight away people are, well, Esslin will sort it, call Esslin, you need to call Esslin no matter what time of night or day, and that's a tough place to be. And so really you've built it from there to be now a fully recognised charity with a core team of around 4 people, I think. Okay, so if somebody wants to foster a dog or a cat, how should they proceed?
We've got so there's a questionnaire to fill in. And then usually when we were running adoption days, which we're not doing COVID now at the moment, but then you could come and meet the dogs or the dogs mainly, and then we could have a little chat and an interview. There's usually a home visit involved, and then we take it from there. And then the animal you connect with, or the one that needs fostering, you can then take into foster. We do ask for long-term fosters just to keep stability for the animals because they're already recovering from trauma a lot of the time, so we don't want to add to that stress. But obviously, if something came up for you or you needed to change fosters, as long as you give us a couple of days heads up, we're definitely happy to rearrange. We don't have a kennel, so all our animals are in foster, unless there are animals that we're struggling with or that have behavioural problems or that need some short-term boarding. Then we do collaborate with another kennel for short-term sort of boarding support. But generally speaking, all our animals will be in foster homes. So we always desperately need fosters that are willing to give short-term love and care and nurture and help save a life, really.
Okay, all right. And so I guess really this year, last year it was a big success. You were every Saturday pretty much, or every other Saturday, outside the China Bear. People could come and see the dogs and the cats that they could adopt. COVID comes along in 2020, and so how has that affected you?
No, not really, actually. I mean, not necessarily in a negative way anyway. I feel like because a lot of people were working from home, it was actually easier to find fosters because people were at home. Adoption-wise, I mean, we had more animals this year than last year. I think in our first year we had about 80 come through our doors. We actually have helped more animals this year. I guess it's also because we're more known. We've got a bigger network. We've got more fosters. More people know of us. We have more adoption applications now and so on. So we've been able to help more animals. But that said, because we can't do events, we are struggling to raise funds. And then, of course, because we don't have a kennel, we don't have one place where everyone can come and meet all the puppies, right? So we do arrange one-on-one meets with the foster families, between fosters and adopters, and so in a way it's become logistically a bit more difficult to get people to meet different pups and be able to meet a wide range of personalities, and also just to arrange meet and greets in general has become a bit harder. But we're really lucky because actually Lush is doing their charity pot for us. Lush does vegan friendly, animal welfare friendly products like shampoos, conditioners, body wash, etc. So
right.
And they...
so they're for hippies, sort of thing, are they?
They're for anyone who cares about animal welfare.
Okay, and the planet
who's
as
not
well.
stuck in the 60s.
Okay, all right, okay. Hands up. Fair enough.
Yeah, so they're very, have a great mission in terms of environmental protection and animal welfare and things like that. And they are doing a charity pot for us, so they'll be...
Good.
Yes, they will be selling a Tails body cream, I think it's a little pot,
right.
And all the proceeds will go to our rescue animals. So that will start from the 27th of November and it goes on, I think, until about the 6th of December.
Perfect.
So we'll actually be having a couple of events, hopefully at their stores on the weekend of the 28th, 29th. Bring some puppies along, and it's gonna be nice. Yeah, big shout out to Lush. Very
big
exciting.
shout out to Lush. How are you funded other than that? Where do funds come from?
I mean, our adoption fees tend to try and cover the package that I mentioned before with the annual vaccinations and so on. For every animal, but then when we have a bigger injury in, we tend to ask for private donations.
Right. So if is anybody listening who is in an influential position to make a donation, one-off or ongoing, please contact Esslin Terrighena.
Of course, a registered charity, we're able to give tax-deductible receipts, so if that's of interest.
So, but a serious business. These guys are doing great work. They're saving 240 animals every 2 years at the moment, and I think that's only going to increase. They can't run without some help and support. So, and that's help and support maybe in the terms of working as a volunteer. It may be cash orientated. And as somebody just came into the shop and offered some services like graphic design or dog walking. So these are all areas which can help Tails and give them a longer, give them some stability going onwards. Okay, so just in terms of workspace, do you have somewhere that you operate out of, somewhere where you can be contacted?
My balcony.
Ouch. So that answers that question.
No, I mean, it would be nice. Someone kindly donated a shipping container for us.
Okay, yeah.
So we can store a lot of the crates. Remember the little crate Jack was in for a while?
Yeah. Big help.
So we can store some of the things that won't be spoiled, that don't get mouldy, that don't melt in the heat, those kind of things. So certain bowls, leashes, crates, all those things can be stored in there. But then we are trying to, because we do need more funding, and we are trying to do what some of the other rescues have done, like Hong Kong dog owners, which is to have merchandise that they sell on, merchandise, for animals, or merchandise of their own animals, like calendars and things like that. So we do want to do more of that, and for that we probably need more storage space, because those things can obviously go mouldy and spoil and so on. So unfortunately at the moment that's not in the budgeting. It's not a priority. Our vet bills are always going to be our priority, but if someone did have a space, then that would be amazing.
Okay, so I mean, for you guys there would be two things to use for the space for. One would be a storage location, hopefully somewhere reasonably with sort of car access or something. And secondly, useful to have some sort of shop front that people can cut, sort of a central place that they can come to.
It would be really nice to have It would be really nice to have a place where we could have a point of contact for our supporters, but even so also showcase some of our animals and just have, when people come in, there's maybe 3 or 4 puppies there they can meet, and see who they have a connection with if they're interested in adopting, because at the moment the logistics of doing individual meet and greets or waiting till adoption days pick up again is quite challenging. That would be really nice to just have a point of contact, also for item donations and all these kind of things.
And so, behavioural issues. Do you have contacts of people that are that can train dogs? The psychology of dogs, I suppose.
Canine behaviour specialists, dog trainers. Absolutely.
So you can put people in touch with those. Okay, that's good.
and also they can do. They'll offer support for our animals for free, but they also are able to do more longer term training for people at a very reasonable rate. For anyone who's interested.
Princess Terrighena, thank you very much for coming to Vibe.
Thank you for having me, Sir Gary.
You can find out more about Tails on Facebook at Tails Lantau or www.tailslantau.org. This week's shout out to a local Lantau business goes to Dr. Peter Duchemin, Chief Archmage and Mirror Polisher of Meta Magic Matrix. The dude abides at Vibe on Thursdays. Amongst many other qualifications, Peter is a fully trained magician and tarot master. He can be booked for these and many other services. To find out more, why not drop in one Thursday for a chat? Check out Peter's Instagram at Tarot Philosopher, or Peter can also be WhatsApped on 60183857. So why not get some magic back into your life? Next Saturday, Hong Kong author and historian Gordon Poon will be giving a talk about his latest Hong Kong history book at Vibe from 2 p.m. Saturday the 21st of November. The event, as usual, is free. Well, that's it for another week. Thanks for listening to the 10th Vibe Book and Music Shop podcast called VIBErations. I'm Gary Brightman. You get my vibe?
Can you imagine what this old island must have looked like to those Dutch sailors when they first saw it? Fresh green. Like a dream of a new world.
They must have held their breath. Afraid it would disappear before they could touch it.